Seen on from Maryland so far?
They're good. They're really good. As you would expect them to be. Coach Loxley's done a great job. They've gotten better every year that they've been there. Their defensive coordinator is actually a good friend of mine that we work together at UAB, and so it's fun to watch them play. I think that they play hard. They're long. They're athletic. They run really well. It's going to be a tremendous challenge, obviously, going up there.
With what you've seen from your offense the last 2 weeks, Rashee's gone for 100 yards both games. Velton picked up 100 yards rushing last game. Just how nice is it to maybe see some versatility, but also some guys stepping up and making plays?
We're performing, right now, and we're scoring points and we're gaining yards. I still think that there's a lot to clean up. We had a goal of running the ball better this game, and I thought we did. I thought we were more intentional about making sure we did it, and we had 200 yards rushing or something. So we were getting, we're headed the right direction, I think, in that. Unit is good. Guys go down in football. I think we maybe said that last week or 2 weeks ago. It's how fast they can get hurt, and we're talking about new names every week, And so it was great to see Velton, who had missed game one with kind of a weird injury, come in there and get in with game two and be able to get 100 yards on that. So that was exciting. Rashee's obviously playing at a high level right now. It helps that we've got good receivers around him, because if they spend all their time focused on him, then we can hurt you in other ways. So it's exciting. There's a lot to improve on still. We're really happy to be 2-0 and headed into a hostile environment.
Well, what stands out about as far as what Maryland does defensively that kind of makes it difficult on offenses as far as their calling card on defense?
They're just really sound. The difficulty of their defense is not, judged by the complexity of their scheme. I think that they have what it is that they run. They run it really well. They present you different looks. They are really well coached. I think their defensive front does as good a job as anybody that we may face this entire year. And then I know that they've got some elite secondary members. So we're going to see both even and odd front. We're going to see 2 high, 1 high coverage. I mean, they run hard to the ball. They tackle. They get, things going. I think at some point we mentioned, that some of these plays that maybe we got 75-yard gain on a little bubble versus, a couple weeks ago, that I don't know that that'll be the case this week. You know what I mean? That'll be a 4-yard gain, and everybody will be like, oh, good call, So it's but it's so we'll be back in that position. We're going to have to do a great job executing. We're going to have to do a great job sustaining drives. We're going to have to do a great job on third down. I know that sounds like coachy and all that, but it's good. There's going to be less opportunity for those explosive plays, in my opinion, which is what we've been, able to capitalize off these first couple weeks.
Scott Simon said that if every game's a Super Bowl, the Super Bowl's not that special. Kind of alluded to the idea that players will get up and down for different opponents based on who the opponent is. Last week, obviously, a little bit sluggish against Lamar. I guess from a coaching standpoint, how do you try to ensure that doesn't repeat itself from a kind of sluggish mentality standpoint? Obviously, going to a Big Ten opponent probably helps.
Yeah, I thought we didn't necessarily come out super sluggish. Now, I thought that there were some execution pieces that we've got to clean up. Obviously, we hadn't turned the ball over like we did 3 times in the second half. There was some goofiness where we, I think we got the ball on the 40 and then the 10 on the first 2 drives of the game. So that I think we came out prepared, and then all of a sudden you can get deflated a little bit by that. But you know what? Our crowd did a great job. Our student section was unbelievable. As much as I've heard about what that's going to look like, and I got here and, man, they were awesome. So I was really excited about that on a hot afternoon to come out there and do that. And we got to celebrate the Pony Express and everything that was about. I thought there was good energy in the stadium, and we did some things. Now, there was some kind of just choppiness to the game, which I think can get – I don't think boring is the right word, but you can maybe what you're saying there. That's what lends to sloppiness a little bit more. I think these guys will be jacked this week. It's obviously a great challenge. Coach Lashley, myself, and Scott have got to find ways to, attack these things. We work 365 days a year for 12 opportunities for you guys to judge us what we do. So it's no one cares about the other 342 or whatever. I don't know that my math's right on that, but it's we got to make sure that. These are rare opportunities, and you've got to appeal to whatever it takes. That's some of the beauty of coaching is finding the motivation. And some weeks you're motivated because of this. Some weeks you're motivated because of this. I don't think that we'll have a hard time finding motivation this week, man. Great opponent on the road. They're good. It's going to be a hostile environment. It's going to be a long travel first road game with this new staff and this new team. So, there's just like logistical things that we've got to get over. But I'm excited. I think they had the best Tuesday practice we've had. So I'm excited to watch them prepare tomorrow and get ready for this game.
You mentioned it, but the travel, just kind of how do you expect kind of the offense to make that long trip, and kind of do you also then maybe use it knowing that Orlando's a kind of similar trip for that first conference game? Kind of how do you prepare but also judge this trip?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's to be seen. I think. I think you can talk you can talk a lot through everything that you do, right? Just like we talked about, this is what the first day of fall camp's going to look like, and then you come out here and it's like, it just bodies laying everywhere. So you can talk about it, but until you go experience it and put them in the fire, then that's good. I think you make a good point about having to travel to Central Florida. We've got some long games in this conference from a travel standpoint, so we're going to have to do a good job. And we got a short week later in the season that we know that we're going to have one of those long games in Tampa, turn right back around and go to New Orleans. So it'll be a great learning experience for all of us. Our staff's got to figure out how we're going to mesh. I know when we get there, Coach Lashley's kind of cool on Friday night with how he handles the team and does that. So our first experience getting a chance to do some of those things. And we've had a couple dry runs. The North Texas game was interesting enough because we had to stay in our home hotel, but we got to treat it like a road game. So we've got a little bit, but as far as getting on a plane and doing all the things, when you're at the government's mercy, and Mother Nature and all that, then there's a little bit different. You got to overcome more things.
You guys are staying for home games at a hotel too this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We stay here in Dallas. I can't tell you where.
In your offense, how important? This is a very open-ended question, but how important is the center specifically? And I guess there was a lot of competition with the O-line this year, and Branson, it seemed, kind of was the thing that walked out and allowed other things to go out. I guess two-part: how important is center and Branson blocking that down?
Yeah. I think that 2 weeks ago there was a question about Branson and what he had done and how the lineup changed on us late. Maybe that was just last week, late, and we felt like Branson gave us kind of the most continuity at that position, and he was the one that allowed that whole unit to gel the best, and it was a late decision based off of where JT was at and his health, and he's been a guy that's gone in there and done that. Now, he's got some improving to do, but we're really excited about where he is. He's a coach's kid, loves football, loves his teammates, man, does a great job. Speaking to our offense specifically, I mean, there's a lot goes on, and I even think in modern football, like the team that we're going to face this week, where all of a sudden the fronts are shifting on you in the back-to-back plays. I mean, there's all kinds of things. You got to be a smart cat, and you got to be able to get everybody going in the right direction. And when you're right, but when you're wrong, everybody's got to be wrong. You know what I mean? And then you got a chance to be right. And so he's got to be dialed. He's got to be a great communicator. He's got to be a great identifier, and then he's got to be a warrior. You know what I mean? That's kind of one of those positions that you really don't like to substitute a lot if you can avoid it. Those other positions on the offensive line, man, they can get a break here, you can help here, and then certainly the skill positions, right? We've talked about how we've rolled those guys and done that, but that center position, right, is kind of like the quarterback of that offensive line. He's got to make sure he shows up every day, ready to work, and he's got to be dialed, and he's got to be sharp, and he is. We're really glad we got Branson right now.
And with that, I know competition across the board, but kind of how did you see him handle that as the returning starter, throwing some different guys in at center to kind of test the waters a little bit, and just kind of how did you see him respond to that and still earn that job back?
That's right. Well, kind of like we said before, Coach Lashley, when we set foot on campus back in December and January, like nobody had a job, right? So we talked about Tanner Mordecai and what it is that he did and came in. And so everyone kind of understood, like, all right, we're starting from scratch here. Now, they believed in his vision. They believed in him as a person. And certainly that showed up here with the guys that we got on our team. And I thought he handled that seamlessly. There was opportunities. You got to get rotations in there. You got to have things that we got to make sure that we can identify about each player and what all the workload that they can handle in certain situations. And that center position is unique, kind of like we talked about. So there's kind of that's not always like all talent, right? Talent certainly matters, but it ain't all talent. You got to be able to quarterback the group a little bit. And I thought he did a great job of handling the competition. And even right up to we weren't sure right before the game, boy, he gets put in that position, went out and excelled and has done a good job continuing to pull our offensive line together. So like the rest of these kids here, they've done a great job of being coachable, and that's been the most pleasant surprise since we've been here.